Joe Burrow has doubled down about Tee Higgins this week, and according to a recent report, he may actually be onto something here. So in this video, I'll explain why there's now newfound hope for Burrow and Higgins to remain teammates for years to come. What's up, Bengals fans? John Sheeran of A2C Sports Cincinnati here, and to say the very least, it has been an interesting birthday week for one Joe Burrow. The game that he played on Monday Night Football was crazy enough when he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns for like the 5th consecutive game, only this time he finally won one of those games. He suffered a minor knee injury that has him sore throughout this week, and while the game was going on, his home back in Cincinnati was burglarized. Burrow is an extremely private person already, and obviously nobody would want reports about their home being broken into, being plastered all over the internet, but that is the reality that he's had to deal with for the past couple days. It makes me wonder if in comparison, he's kind of relieved to be asked about questions about whether or not his teammates are going to get paid, but maybe that's a stretch too far. On that subject though, we already covered it earlier this week on this channel. Burrow was asked after the game whether or not he thinks that Tee Higgins is a part of the future plans for the Bengals this offseason. He said, quote, "I'm confident that I think we're going to be able to do what it takes to bring Tee back, and I know that I'm going to do what it takes to get him back, and so is he. We've had those talks. Those are going to be off-season discussions, but I think we're excited about that opportunity." And that raised a lot of eyebrows. It definitely raised these eyebrows because it was heavily assumed that after this season, the Bengals would let Tee Higgins walk in free agency, or they would try to work out a trade after placing the second franchise tag on him. The idea of restarting negotiations for a long-term deal never really seemed to be in the cards after negotiations broke down well over a year ago, and them immediately placing the franchise tag on him right when the window opened this past February. Because the big roadblock here is the same one that has prevented the Bengals from bringing back great players of the past. It has nothing to do with who they think of Higgins as a player. Higgins wants to be here. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about the guaranteed money. It's all about the real money in these contracts. And Higgins' former agent, that's right, I said former agent, David Mulugheta, his highest priority has always been to maximize guaranteed money in his clients' contracts. But now, Higgins is no longer being represented by David Mulugheta, as reported by the Inquirer's Kelsey Conway. The Bengals have not had a productive relationship with Mulugheta going back to the Jesse Bates debacle from a couple years ago. But now that Higgins is represented by someone else, this does change everything. Now, obviously, just removing Mulugheta from the equation does not guarantee that the deal is going to get done with Tee. Jamar Chase is not represented by Mulugheta, and we all saw how that situation went down this summer. But what it does say is that Tee was unhappy with how Mulugheta handled the situation with Cincinnati, and he's trying something new in order to get a deal done. He wants to be here. Because it is the agent's job to look out for the player and get him the best deal possible, but at the end of the day, he still works for the player, and he needs to do what the player wants. Now, we don't know if Higgins does have a new agent just yet, but it does seem like now that what Burrow said on Monday has a lot more weight behind it, and that the two of them, they're on the same page, and that there is confidence that something can be reached here. And just for good measure, Burrow was asked at his weekly press conference on Wednesday if he would be disappointed if the Bengals couldn't figure out a way to keep Tee Higgins, and he said, "Yeah, I'd be very disappointed. Tee is a need." The Bengals have a lot of needs this offseason, but Joe Burrow has only put his name on one of them, and it's number 5. So Bengals fans, you may not have a guarantee that Tee Higgins will be back next year and the years to come, but at least you have hope. And that is more than what you may have had over these past couple of weeks.